Good morning, I am Tracy Spence with your newscast. This newscast is brought to you courtesy of BioLife Energy Systems. Come join the living. Call them at 800-875-5433. USA Credit Repair, the key to beautiful credit. You may call them at 800-786-1330. Cruising with the case handler, a show on personal injury and immigration, weekdays 9:30 a.m., on Saturdays 7 p.m. and 12 noon on Sundays. Now for the news in details. Jamaica's tourism sector has suffered another hit again after Canada's four major airlines announced they will suspend flights to the Caribbean and Mexico from Sunday, January 31st to April 30. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced on Friday airlines including Air Canada, Sunwing, WestJet, and Air Transat have agreed to suspend service. The Prime Minister said starting next week, all international flights will be allowed to land only in Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, and Montreal. The airlines will contact persons currently on vacation in the Caribbean and Mexico to organize return flights ahead of the deadline. Mr. Trudeau also announced passengers will have to take a PCR test after arriving in Canada. Persons who test positive will have to quarantine in government facilities. The stricter restrictions on travelers follow new, likely more contagious variants of COVID-19. Senior advisor in the Ministry of Tourism, Delano Seabright, says the suspension of flights from Canada to the Caribbean will further affect Jamaica's tourism sector, which has been hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Jamaica's Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has challenged some of the conclusions drawn by the Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, Professor Trevor Monroe, over Jamaicans' rankings in the Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index (CPI) for 2020. Jamaica moved up from a score of 43 out of 100 in 2019 to 44. 0 is deemed very corrupt. Professor Monroe said one of the reasons Jamaica improved so little was the reduction of opposition ruled in oversight committees as this raised governance issues. Mr. Chuck disagrees with this conclusion, arguing the government made the decision because committees were not functioning. More errors for improvement despite CPI ranking. Professor Monroe said while despite the improved ranking, there are several areas to improve. Meanwhile, Cayman's Health Ministry has reportedly sent 36,000 PCR test kits to Jamaica. The kits will go to the Ministry of Health. Another 40,000 test kits are due to go to Trinidad to be donated to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA. According to reports, 76,000 test kits were given away because Cayman's public health officials will not be able to use them before the expiration date at the end of April. Health officials in Cayman say the donation will not leave the country with a shortage. The kits, which were used to detect COVID-19, were purchased from South Korea in the early weeks of Cayman's lockdown. In sports, Cricket West Indies CWI CEO Johnny Gray says the Abu Dhabi T10 League of the United Arab Emirates are good preparation for the T20 World Cup later this year. 25 West Indians will be competing in the two-week event, and he feels this competition gives the Caribbean players a feel of the conditions they are likely to face in India in October. And that is it for the news. This newscast came to you courtesy of BioLife Energy Systems. Come join the living. Call them at 800-875-5433. USA Credit Repair, the key to beautiful credit. You may call them at 800-786-1330. Cruising with the Case Handler, a show on personal injury and immigration, weekdays 9:30 a.m., on Saturdays 7 p.m. and 12 noon on Sundays. On behalf of the news and production team, I am Tracy Spence. Do have a good morning.